Hey, what's up, you guys? Jeff Cohn here with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, where we interview top team leaders, broker owners, thought leaders from across the country and across the world. I have an awesome guest today coming to us from Kihei, Maui, Hawaii, in quarantine or just out of quarantine, Mr. Ryan Murdock from Bigger Pockets. And Ryan has an awesome story to tell. I'm going to let him tell us why he is awesome and why you should spend the next 20 to 25 minutes learning from us today. Mr. Ryan Murdock.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I am fresh out of quarantine is right. So I just did a 14-day stint because I went back to the mainland, but I'm here now. I'm free again and running around the island like a lunatic, enjoying my freedom. So
I love it. Well, I know everyone's envious of you, so let's not talk anymore about Hawaii. Let's talk about where you came from to get to where you are today. You sound like you're a lot like me, serial entrepreneur. You've been through a lot of different things and ups and downs, and now you have a really neat story about what you're doing today. But let's take us back maybe for 60 seconds. Where are you coming from to give you all the expertise that you have now to share with our audience?
You got it. Yeah, I got my start in real estate around 2007. I was in electronics manufacturing for about a decade. And when that kind of came to an end, I decided I wanted to do something different. I wanted some financial freedom. I wanted to get out of the kind of 9-to-5 rat race. I started buying real estate and really just didn't really have any idea what I was doing. Just kind of cobbled together some properties. I bought a duplex and lived in one side, rented out the other, and slowly but steadily built out a small multifamily portfolio. Around the same time, I also got my real estate agent license. And my goal there was not to represent buyers and sellers. It was really just as a way to set up my own showings and write my own offers and go after properties. Like 2008, there were a lot of foreclosures that were popping up and a lot of good deals out there. But a lot of those deals, if you didn't have them under contract within a couple hours, they were gone. So I really needed to cut out that agent that. And you know, keep in mind too, and I totally get it now as being an agent. It was tough to motivate an agent to get off the couch on a Saturday afternoon and go show me a $30,000 foreclosure, because even if everything went smooth and I closed, which rarely happened, there was no money in it for these people.
Right.
So I said, let me get my license so I can do my own stuff.
What city was that in?
That was in Bangor, Maine. That's where I'm born and raised in Maine, lived there on and off like most of my life. I've traveled a lot, but
Cool.
Bangor, Maine is where I've been up until about 2 years ago before I moved out to
We
Maui.
did an East Coast road trip last year for 3 weeks, and Maine was one of our destinations from Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow,
it's quite the drive.
Yeah,
but it was beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that's good. And then around the same time, I also started a property management company. I had a small, like I said, a small portfolio of multifamilies, and figured if I'm, quote unquote, married to these things, and I've got to be available and have systems in place to deal with any catastrophes that happen, day or night, then I might as well start managing properties for other people and plug them into my system. And it was just another way to generate revenue. I mean, when you're starting out as an agent, especially when I started out, I didn't really have any money to speak of. So it was like, I wanted to buy properties, but you can't, just flip a switch and you're an up and running, like, self-sufficient real estate investor. That comes over time. So between that and the property management business, and then representing buyers and sellers in my real estate company, which I hadn't intended to do, but that's the way it played out. It was just a good income stream. All those things together got me to the point where, 10 years later, I had a large enough portfolio of my own where I could pretty much let off the gas on the property management, back off, or at least be way more selective on my buyer and seller clients. And then I started doing some consulting and just had a lot more time on my hands. So that allowed me 2 years ago to move out to Maui. I got connected with Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets, moved out to Maui, real long story short, moved out to Maui to live here and work a little bit with some Bigger Pocket stuff that he was doing, but more so to start Open Door Capital, which is Brandon's mobile home park acquisition and operations company. So we really got that thing. We put a lot of focus into it starting about a year and a half ago, and we're on track for roughly 50 million in acquisitions by the end of this year. So in that very short period of time, we've got some great properties that we purchased. We built out an absolutely outstanding team of 8 or 9 people, to which there's no way either of us could have done what we've done today without our team members. And I
out of curiosity, just because a lot of agents hear numbers getting thrown around, 50 million is the dollar amount these guys have deployed. In real estate, when we say we did 50 million, that might have been a couple hundred sales. We did 50 million. We're talking you guys spent or used bank money leveraging.
Yeah, that's the portfolio size.
$50 million.
About
how many projects was that? About how many trailer parks?
Yeah, we've closed. I said we're on track. We've closed on about 15 million. So as I sit
Okay.
here right now, and we've got another 30-ish, 35 million under contract. So the chances are that some of those will fall out, but I'm confident we'll plug them in.
What's the average? So like with our acquisition business in Omaha, we're buying about 10 units a month.
Yeah.
They're about $100,000 to $150,000 units. So $1 million and a half a month in acquisitions. And we hold about a fourth of those and then sell off the others in a myriad of ways. On your parks, I'm assuming your average park is what, 1 to 3, 1 to 5 million in acquisition costs?
Yeah,
I have no idea. I don't know anything about trailer parks.
Back of the envelope, if we're buying a $10 million park, well, we figure we need to raise between 30 and 40% of the purchase price for every acquisition. So if it's a $10 million deal, we know we're probably gonna have to raise just shy of $4 million. And that obviously is the down payment, and then of course the reserves and all this, the working capital and everything that goes into it. A lot of times it's more money. The heavier turnaround project it is, the more money we need to raise for infill and improvements and repaving the roads and addressing all that kind of stuff. If it's more of a turnkey project, obviously there still needs to be a good reserve budget and working capital, but the overall, the lift is a lot lighter. So, but yeah, typically 30 to 40% of actual cash needed. And we're doing that through, we just closed out our second fund. So the first fund we raised $5 million in investor capital. Second fund we raised just shy of $11 million, and we're about ready to kick off fund 3. Which we expect to raise 10 to 15 million because we already have parks under contract that are going to go into that fund.
Yep. And as each portfolio performs, more and more people are interested in playing in the game. So you guys, Ryan Murdock started off in technology, decides to get a license just because agents were lazy in 2008 and didn't want to respond to his $30,000 purchases. And in that process, you probably serviced some buyers and some sellers and made ends meet by starting a property management company while doing some acquisitions, while representing some traditional buyers and sellers. And it's turned into this. He's now in Maui and talking really big picture about a lot of these amazing projects that they're working on. So the sky's the limit for wherever you want to go as you listen to this. And what I found is like, a lot of people want to compare themselves to you or the Bigger Pockets people or Jeff Cohn or Gary Keller or whatever. All that matters is that each of us every single day try to become a better version of ourselves. You don't have to get to where someone else is. Just get to the best place for you to get to. And everybody has their own goals and their own vision, and that's fine. So I would love for today, as our audience members have listened to this, I don't think a lot of my audience has hundreds and hundreds of rentals. A lot of people are talking about storage units, multifamily, new construction developments, single family, duplexes, Airbnb. There's so many options. And I don't know that one option is right over another. But what I do know, and I'd love your opinion, Ryan, on this, and this is where I'm going with the question, is COVID has obviously had an impact. We have yet to see the reaction to the economy from COVID. We talked offline a little bit about the impact it might have on Airbnbs, especially in areas like Hawaii, where they literally have shut down the Airbnb markets. Where do you think COVID, and I know you guys are talking about this, it's all speculation, so this is more for fun, but where do you think COVID takes us in the acquisition business?
Yeah, I hate looking into a crystal ball because mine is not really that good. And I think anybody that thinks they've got it dialed in on what's going to happen is purely guessing. But I think if nothing else, there are going to be some fantastic buying opportunities out there. And I don't know exactly when that's going to be. Obviously, it's too soon to see that yet. Like you had mentioned, the Airbnb business here in Maui. There's been a lot of free money kind of floating around out there in various forms. So people are still riding that wave. But, if and when that shuts off, that's, I think, when reality is going to set in. So you're going to see people that are not able to hang on to their properties, whether they're short-term rentals and that part of the business, like here in Hawaii, has been shut down. So they have zero revenue from these things or there's a million different scenarios why somebody get into a financial bind and lose their property. But, I was around in 2007, 2008 when the sky was falling and there were tremendous buying opportunities then. Looking back, I wish I had taken better advantage, and I was still pretty aggressive. I just, I didn't have any capital. I didn't have any money. So it was really hard to tackle some of these things. And looking back, I should have partnered or should have aligned myself with people that had money and I could have done more hustling and more kind of boots on the ground stuff. So I think, regardless of the cause, there's going to be similar opportunities there, not only for, real estate rental portfolio stuff, certainly, but I think also if you want to get into businesses, I think there's going to be a lot of business opportunity where if you want to, there's a lot of businesses that are suffering, whether it's, food and beverage or service industry type stuff. Like if you're at all inclined to want to pick up the pieces of that, maybe put some new and some better debt terms on it, kind of start with a clean slate. There's going to be all kinds of opportunities for whatever scratches your entrepreneurial itch. There's going to be opportunity there. So,
I just heard locally, there's a Pizza Hut that had there's somebody that owns supposedly 300 Pizza Huts in the Pizza Hut franchise in the Midwest, and they just went belly up. And it just surprised me. I'm like, even with COVID, I thought a lot of people are getting pizza to go. Like you couldn't survive with that, but they were over leveraged. So I love your advice. And as people listen to this, I have said from the beginning, everyone needs to stop being a real estate agent. You need to stop having a job. You need to build businesses that can grow without you, that generate residual income. And I have a big fear for the traditional realtor that thinks they're going to go list a house and make 7% and they're not going to work at all and not respond to people's needs. And those agents, in my opinion, are done. Agents will still be necessary, but only the good will stand and the bad will go, which is great for the industry. I love your sentiment.
You saw it in 2008 too, same thing, where a lot of people were just, there were a lot of part-time agents that were making a lot of money without having to exert a lot of effort. And then the market crashed and they got weeded out almost overnight. They were gone. And all that was left were the scrappy, hardworking agents. And I think that's what it takes, especially for a new agent starting out. If you're going to make it your primary source of income and you don't have any other income really to survive on, you need to make being a real estate agent work like this, I can pick my own hours and, do part-time stuff. That doesn't work, man. Like if you're going to build your clientele, you need to be the person that always answers their phone, that is available nights, weekends, the whole 9 yards. Like you got to put a lot of time and effort into it. And what always amazes me when I look at other agents is how, I don't know what the percentage is, but such a small percentage of them actually invest in real estate. It's almost like it's a whole different mentality, right? Like
I bet it's less than 1%.
Yeah, which to me just seems criminal because there's so many good opportunities. I don't know how many properties I bought personally that maybe I had shown a buyer and the buyer didn't like it, and I'm like, man, this is a pretty good deal. I'm gonna, just by default, like I'm looking at all the properties in my market because I'm showing them, and even for an agent, and I know it's a whole different mindset. Like it's a real estate agent and a real estate investor / property manager are not always the same thing. You can be a great agent, you might be a terrible property manager, and that's okay because you can find the right deal that will afford you the luxury of hiring third-party property management. So you're not there like plunging the toilets. If you buy the deal right, you can have it managed essentially hands off and still build your portfolio. Even if you're not cash flowing a ton of money and you still need to like sell houses and list houses for income, like even if that property is just paying for itself, you're paying down the debt, even if you're throwing $100 or $200 a month into it, like you're acquiring this asset over a period of time. And there's just so many people that just
100%. I think the biggest thing, and we talked offline about this a little bit, Ryan, was typically if you have an investment arm or an investment wheel, I should say, acquisition business that buys investment property, you should also offer traditional real estate services because you're going to come across 80% of your deals that want to sell at market and you're going to refer them off to someone or take them in-house. My argument would be take it in-house. And the same is it true, instead of representing investors, no offense, investors listening, stop representing the investors. Take those deals yourself, agents. You understand the market better than anyone. You're showing and selling and you're out and about. And I think a lot of people just don't know how to do it. So where would be maybe the top 2 or 3 sources for somebody that wants to get started? Obviously, Bigger Pockets is one of the top, if not the top podcast out there talking about investing. Where would be 2 or 3 other places, maybe a book recommendation or a podcast recommendation?
Yeah, it really depends on the niche that you want to get into. So Bigger Pockets is that's the hands down always was my go-to source. I mean, if you went through and you listened to every single Bigger Pockets podcast episode, and there's almost 400 of them now, I think. If you listen to all those, it would take you some time, but you would know more than probably 99% of the investors running around out there. And it's just such a broad range. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to do, small multifamily hands-on management, I mean, Brandon's got a great book about managing rental properties. If you don't want to do that, maybe you want to do some more passive, either investing in other people's syndication deals or funds. I mean, that's always an avenue, especially if people have, there's a lot of people out there with good incomes. They have good W-2 jobs. Maybe they're doing real estate on the side a little bit, but they're making good income from somewhere. So it doesn't make sense for them to just kind of scrap all that and go hands-on investing. Invest in somebody else's deal. There's somebody out there hustling that's found a great deal on a property that doesn't have money. Maybe you have some money you can invest in there for a solid return and relatively passive. There's books on note investing, and it really depends on what it is that you like to do. And that's the great thing about real estate is there's just so many avenues you can go that you've got to find something that number one, that you think you can make money at and do well with, but number 2, that you enjoy, so that you get out of bed every day, you're fired up to go tackle the day. And that's not always the case if you don't like it.
I know 100% everyone listening that has done more than 100 transactions comes across a deal. It could be every quarter or every year that they say, if I had 150,000, I would buy this property. I think the number one step is have the funds. Know that you could leverage your house or borrow money from Uncle Buck, or somebody out there is willing to fund the deal so that you're not going to have to walk away from potential 20, 30, 40,000. And I'd also say, just do it. Do one, do 5, do 10, and that will help you build the confidence, and or go partner someone like Ryan in your marketplace. And that's how I built my arm. I just had an investor partner.
Yep. And once you find that niche, there's a podcast for that niche. I guarantee it. Like, there's probably 5 of them. Like, to go find that niche. There's a Facebook page for that niche. There's books for that niche. Like, there's no shortage of information right now, which is phenomenal. I mean, I know when I got started, and I'm talking like I'm an old man, and I respect the guys that started like even way before we did. That like there wasn't all these podcasts, and there was some stuff online, but not like there is today. So, but like today, I mean, to use lack of information or resources as an excuse not to do something is
and people will say there's just too much. Well, there's not too much. Just take the time. And I know I love the adage. I'll share it here on the show. The difference between Ryan and I are the people we meet, the books that we read, the podcasts we listen to, and I'll say the deals we've done. And that's really truly the difference between anyone listening. You're like, oh, Ryan's so far ahead, I'll never get there. Or Jeff Cohn's and all these things, I'll never get there. That's not true. You could go you should. Let me put this out there. Everyone listening should go way further than we've ever gone, because I never got to listen to this podcast. This type of a podcast that we're recording right now. And I do believe, just like you said, I got licensed in 2006. 2007 was my first year selling as a traditional agent. My grandma cried when I told her I was getting into real estate because the market was so horrible, and it just got worse and worse and worse. But my business grew because I was doing the things no one else was willing to do. So no, in the beginning, you can do it all. You should do it all and figure out what your niche is, like what you're suggesting. I do want to give an invite. We are hosting a workshop in person, not virtual. Physical in person. We're going to adhere to all of the COVID-19 requirements in our city, Omaha, Nebraska. It's the end of September. If anyone wants to go to a physical event and actually be with humans in person, we will require masks. We will require social distancing, but we think we can host about 50 people in our new state-of-the-art office. We literally just moved in last week. It's a 10,000 square foot campus that has ancillary businesses. KW Elite is our brokerage that's going to be there. And we teach an all-day event on how to invest in real estate, how to build a portfolio to over 100 doors worth $10 million, which is what we've done in the last 3 years. And then the second day is a team building / brokerage building workshop on how to generate leads, create culture of success, hold people accountable, use the right systems and software. If you want more information about that, go out to eliterealestatesystems.com and click on events. Also, give Ryan a shout out on Facebook. Ryan, what's the best way to get in touch with you on Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, probably Instagram at ryan.murdock21 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook too. I'm also on the Bigger Pockets forums quite a bit, so you can find me on there. The other thing I want to hit on real quick is we are currently in heavy acquisition mode for these mobile home parks. We have a website. It's called bringbrandonadeal.com, bringbrandonadeal.com, and we are offering a $100,000 finder's fee to anybody that brings us a off-market mobile home park lead that we close on. And we've got some criteria. We're typically targeting parks that are 100 lots and larger, and we want public utilities. And there's some other things that we kind of get into the weeds on during due diligence, but those are the main criteria: 100 lots, public water, public sewer. All we need from you is a warm introduction. So it's not like, it's not a wholesale situation where you need to put it under contract and you're flipping the contract to us. It just needs to be either a phone call or an email introduction. You have some sort of relationship with the seller. You introduce us. If we close on that park, we'll write you a check for $100,000.
There you go, guys. $100,000. I should have had a pre-negotiated deal where I kept 50. If you quote that you heard this on the Team Building podcast,
we'll talk afterwards.
Man, I didn't even bring that up. But that's a real deal.
I'll write you a check for $100,000.
I know you would, depending on the margin. So this is the thing that people don't believe. I paid those types. I don't pay 100,000, but I pay 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 all day long, and I would still all day long in Omaha, Nebraska, if the property meets our avatar. No one believes it. They're like, you're not going to really pay. Yeah, we will. You find us a deal, we'll write a check all day long. So Ryan's 100% being honest. No reason he wouldn't pay the 100 if the numbers work. It makes total sense. So one more time, how does somebody find you if they do have a deal and they want to send it over to you today?
bringbrandonadeal.com.
Okay, perfect. We are also working on getting to over 1,000 likes on iTunes. So please, if you are using iTunes right now, go into the app, scroll to the bottom where you see the reviews, give us 5 stars, give Ryan a shout out for all the massive value that he was able to bring to us today. Help us get to over 1,000. We also record all of these. So if you wanted to see Brian's face and mine, my bald head, you can go out to YouTube channel and watch these recordings. I know a lot of people listen in the car while they're working out or whatever, and they don't want to actually see the video, but there is a video. You can also find all of our podcast episodes at eliterealestatesystems.com under the podcast link. Ryan, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I know we have so much more we'll get into, and we'd love to have you on the show again sometime in the future.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Enjoy Hawaii.
All right.
See ya.